ACIM in Plain Language, Chapter 1. The mind is where the healing begins. Before anything changes around you, something has to change within you. And that is not always what we want to hear. Because most of us want the job to change, the relationship to change, money to change, our family to act right, our bodies to feel better, the past to stop hurting, or the people who wounded us to finally understand what they did. And listen, I get it. That desire is human. There's nothing wrong with wanting your outer life to be more peaceful. There is nothing wrong with wanting relief. There is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with wanting your circumstances to line up in a way that feels safe, stable, loving, and fair. But the deeper spiritual truth is this: your healing does not begin when the world finally behaves. Your healing begins when your mind stops letting fear explain everything to you. That is where the real work starts. Not on the surface, not in your performance, not in pretending to be okay. It's not in posting inspirational quotes while silently breaking down, or forcing yourself to forgive before you have even admitted how much something has hurt. The real work begins in the mind, because the mind is where you interpret your life. The mind is where you decide what something means. The mind is where fear builds a whole story around one moment. The mind is where old wounds try to predict your future. It is where shame whispers, "This is who you are now." The mind is where the ego tries to convince you that defense is strength and peace is weakness. But Spirit teaches something different. Spirit does not start with panic. Spirit does not start with punishment, nor does it start with shame. Spirit starts with truth. And the truth is, you are not trapped in every thought that passes through your mind. That alone is a miracle. I'll say it again. You are not trapped in every thought that passes through your mind. Because for a long time, many of us believed every thought we had. If the mind said, "I'm not enough," we believed it. If we thought, "Nobody really loves me," we believed it. How about, "I always mess things up"? Guess what? We believed that too. If the mind told us, "God must be disappointed in me, I'll never be free from this," we believed everything. But every thought is not truth. Some thoughts are just fear with a microphone. Others are trauma trying to protect itself. Some thoughts are just old programming from people who were wounded before they ever got a chance to become wise. Some thoughts are inherited pain speaking through your nervous system. And other thoughts are simply lies that you have practiced so long they started sounding like common sense. That is why the mind must be healed. Not because we're crazy, not because we're broken, not because something is wrong with us. The mind must be healed because it has been trained faithfully by fear, and now it must be retrained lovingly by love. That is the path. This is not about positive thinking in a fake way. This is not about pretending life does not hurt. This is not about looking at real pain and saying, it's all good, when deep down, we know it is not good at all. No, this work is more honest than that. This work says, yes, that hurt me. Yes, I felt abandoned. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I have carried guilt. Yes, I live in survival mode. Yes, I have made choices from fear. Yes, I have confused control with safety. And yes, I have mistaken suffering for identity. But then it asks a deeper question. Is this the voice I want to keep following? This question matters. Is that the voice I want to keep following? Because at some point, we have to decide whether fear gets to keep being our life coach. And let me tell the truth plainly. Fear is a horrible teacher. Fear will have you preparing for betrayal in relationships that are trying to bless you. Fear will have you rejecting opportunities because you don't feel worthy of them. It will have you calling your anxiety discernment. Fear will have you confusing peace with boredom because your body is so used to chaos. Fear will also have you replaying conversations, creating imaginary arguments, defending yourself against people who are not even in the room. Fear will have you praying to God while secretly believing God is against you. That is not peace. That is mental bondage dressed up as protection. And many of us know that bondage way too well. We learn to scan the room, to read people's moods. We learned to be strong before we were allowed to be soft. We learned to carry responsibility that was never ours. We learned to laugh while hurting, to say I'm good when we were anything but that. We learned to keep moving because stopping meant we might finally feel everything. But healing asks us to pause, not collapse or quit or drown in the pain, but pause, a holy pause. a moment when you stop listening to the first thought and letting it become the final truth. That pause is sacred because in that pause, you create space for another voice. Not the voice of panic, of shame, of the wounded child, or of the ego trying to defend its throne. The voice beneath all of that quiet knowing, the voice of gentle correction, the voice of inner peace that does not scream to be heard, the love that reminds you you can see this differently. This is where the miracle enters. The miracle does not always remove the situation. And I'll say that again. The miracle does not always remove the situation. Sometimes it removes the meaning fear gave to the situation. The bill may still be due, but you are no longer seeing yourself as abandoned. The conversation may still need to happen, but you are no longer entering it with war in your chest. The loss may still be real, but you are no longer making it proof that God has forgotten you. You may still need to correct that mistake, but you are no longer turning it into an identity. That is healing. That is mind training. That is spiritual maturity.